So hello guys, welcome to our channel Global Hot Talks. Former US National Security Council Gary Sick said that people who knows Iran as in the foreign policy, who knows Iran, they wouldn't have done what Donald Trump did. And he claimed that the consequences we are seeing today is as a result of lack of preparations and lack of thinking. So he sees it as a strategic blunder to the United States. Because you have to understand that so far now, the Iranians are shutting down American fighter jets. We heard yesterday that the Americans have to send in other jets to rescue some of the airmen that were shot down, which is a very serious issue.
You have served every president practically in a specific era, Ford, Carter, Reagan, and particularly on this issue of Iran. What would you be telling this current president about how to deal with this thorny subject, which has bedeviled every administration for the last nearly 50 years?
Well, I think in the first place, he wouldn't hire me. He's not looking for expertise. And that's one of the real problems, is that people who know a lot about Iran would never have done what he has just done. And I mean, it was clearly done on a whim, without a lot of thinking, without a tremendous amount of preparation. And we're seeing the consequences.
Epic Fury is one of the most successful military operations in history. God bless the 13 and the injured. But they died in noble cause protecting America and the world from a cancer. He has destroyed their ability to acquire a nuclear weapon for decades. He's put them out of the ballistic missile business, and he's offering them a deal. And if they don't take it, he's going to blow up everything they got. So well done, Mr. President. Well done to our military. I'm very happy tonight.
Also, Professor John Mearsheimer argues that the Iranians are interested in wrecking the Gulf states, the six Gulf states. They are not interested in, allowing them to come out after this war, to come out, on face. They are interested in wrecking their economy so that even after the war, it will take the Gulf state many years to repay because they are attacking their infrastructures, specifically energy infrastructures. And it is incentive for the Iranians to attack the desalination plant in the Gulf states because some of the Gulf states are heavily dependent in the desalination plant. And so far, the American President Donald Trump have given Iran 48 hours ultimatum again to surrender or he will attack starting their economic infrastructure, which they have rejected. And we are heading toward the ending of that 48 hours ultimatum. So in the next 24 hours, we will be seeing what the American response will be. Also, Professor John Mearsheimer said that 80% of Iranian missiles are now passing through the Israeli air defense system. The fact that the Israelis are, are agreeing, are even accepting the fact that those 80% are passing their defense is something huge that you have to understand. When you go back to the 12 days war, you have to remember that after just a week, the Israelis have to run to the Americans to rescue them. So we are heading toward that kind of situation here because 80% of the Iranian missiles now are hitting Iran, pounding them each day. More casualties. Understand that the American casualties are now mounting on. We are having almost 13 days, 13 people dead, almost 365 injured, which is very huge. Because when you look at the American people, they are likely, most of them, I think at least 65% of them, they are not interested in the war. Only few percentage, like maybe an average of 30-something%, that they are likely in support of the war. So the more you bring them dead corpses, the more they ask questions, the more they are interested in what is happening over there, which is going to be a big consequences for the president administration.
Infrastructure. They're destroying energy infrastructure in the region. And it's going to take years to rebuild that energy infrastructure. And this is going to have serious consequences for the international economy moving forward. And then on top of that, they are attacking businesses in the six Gulf states. They're interested in wrecking the economies of those six Gulf states. And if this goes far up the escalation ladder, they may go after the desalination plants in those Gulf states and do egregious damage to the societies, all the societies in those six countries that comprise the GCC. So the Iranians are in a position to do enormous damage to the international economy. They're in a position to do enormous damage to the six Gulf states. Furthermore, they are bombing away at American military bases. We have 13 major bases in the region, and by almost all accounts, all 13 are either damaged or destroyed. They've had a significant effect on our military presence in the region. They've damaged all sorts of aircraft, super expensive and important radars. And then when you look at Israel, the Israelis now report that 80% of Iranian missiles are getting through and hitting Iran. Just think about that. The Israelis are admitting that 80% are getting through, because what we're seeing happening now in this war is what we saw happen in the 12-day war last June. That's in June of 2025. At a certain point, the Israelis ran out of missiles that could be used to shoot down the incoming ballistic missiles. And the same thing is happening here. So 80% of the Iranian ballistic missiles are breaking through. And of course, the Iranians have lots of drones. They have both short-range and long-range ballistic missiles. So they're wreaking havoc on us and on our allies in the Gulf. So when you begin to put all of these pieces together, you see that we are in dire straits. Then
Pepe Escobar, a Brazilian journalist, explaining how oil tankers are now passing through the Strait of Hormuz. You have to understand that since the beginning of the war, the Iranians have closed Strait of Hormuz and are now taxing oil tankers to pay equivalent of $2 million for your oil tanker to pass through the strait. And they are putting more, rules for those oil tankers that you have to pay in Chinese yuan, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to follow their regulation, which shows to you that they are still in control of the strait. And people around the world are feeling the heat because oil prices are still skyrocketing. It is not coming down. The gas, they are still skyrocketing.
For Hormuz, you have to go through 3 stages. First of all, you have to prove that your tanker is legal. Where is it going to? Crew, manifesto, destination, where you're carrying, how do you pay for it, etc. So this goes through a broker to the IRGC leadership in Iran. They do background checks. If they approve you, it's okay. But then that's the second part. You have to pay the toll booth. The toll booth is $2 million per ship. If you do step 1 and 2, step 3 is the most fascinating of them all. You have a radio message in your ship from the IRGC Navy, clearing your path to navigate inside Iranian territorial waters through a narrow channel of 5 miles, 8 kilometers max, under surveillance by the IRGC Navy because they are in the little island of Larak, even with binoculars to see that your tanker is really your tanker. But you're cleared. You don't have an escort, nothing. You can go through. And this applies both ways. But both ways is more complicated. If you're coming from Asia and you're...
So thank you guys once again. Follow us for more.